Hello everyone, I'm going to be showing you how to use the Intersect command along with making a 3D object from your 2D object. So let's get started. The first step that you want to do is, if you have your 2D views already drawn, you want to pull out the lines or sections that you're not going to need. Okay, so what I like to do first is, if I have it drawn like this and I have hidden lines and center lines and everything like that, I like to make a window and select everything, hover over a view, right click, and go to quick select. What this allows you to do is choose your property. It's a current selection of multiple, and you can choose your property, which I'm going to choose layer, and I'm going to make sure that the value says object, which means it would select only object lines. As an FYI, you can use this command in reverse, meaning you can exclude values like object line from it by saying exclude and hit an object, and it would pick everything else. But in this case, I'm going to pick only the object lines. Once I do that, you see that the command bar says 35 items are selected. So what you want to do is put in CO for copy, and I'm going to use my snap in the right hand corner to copy over only the objects or the views. Okay, if you click on it, they're still in line segments, so in order for us to do a 3D, we'll have to convert that. What I like to do is get rid of lines that are not needed, and in order to make a polyline, it has to be what's called a closed region or boundary. So I would not be able to successfully close all of this because it does not connect and there's intersecting lines. So determining what I don't need, I definitely don't need any of these lines inside. Okay. And if you're thinking whether or not do you need this or not, how to determine that is, if I was to select all of these line segments, a closed region would be all the ones that I'm highlighting, and this line would not be necessary. And so this looks pretty good. And over here, you want to keep that shape because that's important to our 3D object. And you want to get rid of this line. The next step that I like to do is overkill. Overkill allows you to select all of your objects. I'm going to do a window, select all of my objects, and hit enter. And it says 0 overlapping lines or segments. So your next step would be to join these. So you're going to use the join command, which is J. Select all of your line segments for one view and hit enter. After that, you should be able to click on it and it should be a closed region like a polyline. So you would have to repeat that step once again for each view until they are closed regions or closed polylines. So to do the region command, you're just going to hit REG for region. You can do a window because you can do more than one, and hit enter. And when you do that, you'll realize that your object line turns white because now it is completely regioned. My next step is to get into my 3D operating space, which is going to call for you to do -V for view, and then you're going to do SE for southeast, and hit enter. Okay. What that is going to allow me to do is to do all of the commands that we learned about, like extract, extrude, subtract, and things like that. So if I change my visual style, which is VS enter, and I choose shaded with edges down here, you can see that those are a 3D object at this point. What you are looking to do is to look at your 3D object and determine how you will position the front, the top, and the right view. And you want to line them up just like that. Okay, so going back to my drawing here, I would need to keep that how that is, but this one I would have to rotate. And if you guys remember the command for that, it's 3DR rotate, enter, select your object and hit enter, and this little gizmo will come up. Remember that you can look at your interface and determine X, Y, and Z. I'm going to use my red ribbon to face it the way that I need it to be. And then the same thing for this one. I'm going to rotate it up, but this is my right view, so I'll need to turn it to the right. At that point, I want to change this back to 2D wireframe visually. So you should do VS, enter, and hit 2 for 2D wireframe. And that will allow me to move these a little bit more easier, where I can see the snaps instead of looking through a solid. So at this point, I'm going to do the move command, and I'm going to move this to the corner. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this view and move it to the corner. So the last step that we're going to do to build our 3D is the intersect command. So the first step for this, because it works on boundaries, basically with the line intersecting, and it will remove anything else, we're going to extrude these objects through each other. So EXT enter, pick your object, and extrude through. So same thing, EXT enter, select your object, and extrude through. And then the same thing for the bottom. You might want to pick on the circle so it's easier to grab, and you can do that with the circle as well, and extrude through. Excuse me. Just go ahead and pick the circle first so that we can make sure that it does what it needs to do. Okay, and then we'll extrude this separately because I want it to go a little further. Okay. At this point, we can use the intersect command, which is IN for intersect. When it says select objects, you're going to select all objects that are intersecting. Okay. It says 3 total, which is correct. And then I'm going to hit enter, and it will do the job for me. So if I want to check it, I can do VS for visual style, E for shaded with edges, and here is the 3D object. Now the only thing left to do is to get this hole to go through the part, which means I will need to subtract it. So you're going to do subtract, SUB, enter, select your object that you want to keep, select the object that you don't want, and hit enter. And now it's fully subtracted from that view. If you want to move it around, you can hit scroll. And if you want to rotate around, right, you can use the rotate command, and you can go around if you'd like. Okay. If you have any questions, let us know, but hopefully this video helps.